Founded on February 22, 1922, the Bobcats Senior Honorary has tirelessly worked to preserve the welfare of our university thanks to a network of Bobcat alumni and annually selected classes of 13 seniors chosen due to their eternal vigilance to the University of Arizona.
To hear your name announced when it's announced, it's excitement, it's relief, and then once you're standing up at the front like we did at the time, it's a little bit of guilt too. After the 13th is announced, you look out and you see faces of dejection as well. So that was always hard. That was probably the most memorable from the excitement standpoint, but also one of those trying times of looking at some people that I have so much respect for and I know love this university so much, not being one of those 13. So that's why, when I was announced at that time, it was very important to me, and I can remember thinking about earning it. I've always known that the motto, if you will, is eternal vigilance. So at that point in time, it's like, I have to earn this. I have to justify this choice. And that's how I've always felt about it. The 13 that chose me to be one of the 13 of the incoming class, I had to, in my opinion, verify the decision that they had made and make them proud of the decision that they made that night and moving forward.
It was the quintessential college experience. You could not have wrapped up college in a better way. Bobcats is a group of leaders. And so being a leader of leaders was a task. But it really was something that it encapsulated my whole college experience and wrapped it up with a big bow. It really shaped me as a person, I think. It shaped the direction my career interests went in. It shaped my life and my friendships, lifelong friendships. Our advisor, Anna Marie Chalk, was like a second parent to me and to most Bobcats, I think. And we continued to stay close with her and her family. And I think that she helped to make that experience what it was. She really wrapped her arms around us and helped to say, this is it, this is your experience, it is what you make of it. And it's only 13 people, and you have an incredible chance to interact with those people and alumni and other students from so many different parts of campus, and to really make your mark on that as an undergraduate. It was a really amazing experience.
Well, I tell all new Bobcats that I think that they should take the story of the Bobcats and go to their favorite place on campus and read the story of how the Bobcats were founded and why, and think deeply about what it means. Bobcats was founded as a secret society. They were about quietly serving the university by breaking down the cliques and the silos on campus to try to make for a better university. So it was really about going quietly about your leadership job and not about being look at me, I'm a Bobcat. And so I try to convey that message to younger Bobcats. And if you read the story of the founders carefully, that's what you will discover, is that it's about being a servant leader to the University of Arizona, and not about being a Bobcat.
There's one memory that really sticks out to me, and it was actually towards the end of our senior year, towards the end of our Bobcats year. My friends and I, we gathered in my office. I had in the ASUA office. I was student body president. It was my entire class, all the Bobcats. When we were all gathered, that's the first time I told anyone I was enlisting in the Navy. It was pretty scary and vulnerable time in my life, and I was worried about the decision Had it been the right choice? I was feeling scared. And they were the first group of people that I told, and they were extremely supportive. I mean, they were so comforting, and it was so perfect at the time. It was exactly the kind of support that I needed. After that, actually, we all started opening up about fears, or, we were graduating, so some of us didn't know what we were going to do, what our jobs were going to be, what that next step looked like. I think to me, that's sort of the epitome of Bobcats. It was supportive, it was encouraging, and I think that's one of the main reasons, and for many other reasons, that I just love this organization so much.
My mother was Anna Marie Chalk. She's referenced as Annie or AMC around here. She worked at the U of A for 23 years in the Alumni Association. I felt like the Bobcats were the sons she never had when they were an all-male organization. They would come to my softball games. They would come to things that my sister was doing with her, and it was a big part of our lives growing up. She was a staple for the organization, which is really cool. She was one of the first 2 women selected as an honorary Bobcat. Her and Mary Peachin hold that honor, and so that's really something that was very prideful for her. She accidentally created the number system that everybody talks about, the 1 through 13, and that accident was to keep the students from sneaking to see who was selected. And so she put numbers on the envelopes, and so that they would get their number. They would say, I'm number 1, Bobcat, da-da-da-da-da. And she was around during the time when Bobcats were all male and when it converted to allowing women in. And Kira Finkler being the first woman, and that was a time of change. And I remember Anna Marie kind of struggling with, I want to support the old guard, but also support the current students who were saying, maybe this is time for change. And so she tried to support those efforts, and has, and was instrumental for 23 years of classes of Bobcats, and those before and after.
For me, I think being a Bobcat is being something bigger than yourself. You come into this organization knowing that you serve a purpose, knowing that this organization is founded on serving and protecting the traditions that we have on this campus, and being a representative for this entire body. And in order to do that, you have to have members from every part of this campus and every community that we have at University of Arizona. And so for me, I know I'm doing this for myself, but I'm also doing this for everybody who is a current student or a future Bobcat. I think that me being a Bobcat just shows me that we are moving in the right direction, because we're being that representative body for the entire campus. And if I can do my part to even just play a small role in that, I've done my job.
I think the most special part about Bobcats is I'll call them intergenerational relationships that you build. I've built very close relationships with Bobcats who are older and younger than me. One of the godfathers of my children is a Bobcat who, I met through the organization, who graduated about 6 or 7 years before me. Some of my very best friends are Bobcats that were not my year, or even at the university at the same time as I was. And so, you get to always meet these amazing alumni. And every year we have 13 more that get to join the organization. And that's the most special part for me, is you get to come back and meet the current Bobcats. You get to kind of see how the past few years of Bobcats have kind of progressed in their careers, where they are now. And it's one big family. And that's the most important, that's the most special piece for me, and why I continue to stay involved today.
When I think about the future of the Bobcats organization, I think about a responsibility of us maintaining the traditions of this university. On top of that, I think there are a lot of areas of this campus that are unexplored with unbelievable people. And I think it's the Bobcats' responsibility to bring those students together. We have a strong voice and presence on this campus, and it's our duty to make it a place that everyone feels welcome and everyone feels proud of.
When I was in college here at the University of Arizona, Bobcats was well known as a senior men's honorary. There were no women. So I wouldn't have even had an opportunity to apply and go through the process because it was men only. Through the years, that changed, which is wonderful. And when I was National Alumni Association chair, I received a letter from Anna Marie Chalk that said I have been selected as an honorary Bobcat, and that was in October of 2013. And it was one of the most exciting things. I never in my wildest dreams, it wasn't even anything that was on my radar or anything along those lines. I knew that they were bringing in honorary Bobcats, but never thinking of myself. And so it was one of the most exciting moments to open up that letter and to see that I had been selected and that I would be inducted at homecoming, which is a very special time for me and my family. My father, which made it even more special, is that my father, when he attended the University of Arizona, he was a Bobcat. And so to think that I would follow in his footstep as an honorary meant the world to me. Unfortunately, he had passed by then, but I figure he knew upstairs.
Being a Bobcat has been the greatest honor that I've had in my life as an individual honor. I mean, I look back and my wife saying yes and agreeing to marry me is at the top, and my kids being born and all doing, well and being healthy right there. But from an individual perspective, being a Bobcat has been just one of the most amazing experiences, if not the most amazing experience that I've had in my life. And when my son went through selections, I had no idea if he was going to make it. And, there really is no nepotism in Bobcats. It's all about who the class that's making the selections believe are the best candidates. So it was a complete wild card. I knew roughly what time they were doing the selections, but I wasn't overly fixated on it. So I walked outside, and I'm not making this up, a Bobcat literally ran right by me. And I said, well, that's either a good sign or a bad sign. I have no idea. About 15, 20 minutes later, I got a call, and they said, hey, your son just got into Bobcats. And it's very special to me, means a lot to me because it means a lot to him. It's just something really neat that I got to share with him. And my father-in-law is actually an honorary Bobcat, so we have 3 generations, which is really neat.
As an organization, what's the elevator speech? If you were to say in 2 or 3, sentences what we're about, what is that? I mean, we're a collection of folks that were honored to be in the organization as undergraduates, or were honored as honorary Bobcats later on. But as an organization, what is our sort of reason to be and to persist? And I think we should assume the responsibilities and continue to be sort of the keepers of the flame, right? The folks that understand the history of the institution, its heritage and traditions, and the folks that make sure that every single class of students that matriculate at the university and ideally graduate from the university have the opportunity to understand that history, where they fit into that continuum. If that's not done effectively, the consequences are that people that come to school here never have the option to embrace it, right? And that to me is the failure. The potential failure. It's not that if it's out there and it's available, that people choose to be disinterested or are so focused on the other challenges that they may have in their life that it doesn't become an important motivating factor or a point of pride. That's okay. What's not okay is if they don't have that opportunity.
I think that Bobcats in and of itself is something that's hard to explain. It's something that you have to actually live and experience to really know the potential and the power there. I think where we fall within the greater context of the university is really rooted in our mission statement, which is to, manage our whole existence around preserving the welfare of the university and keeping that at heart as we proceed through college and then beyond. And so I think that what's special about Bobcats is that we have this connection for life, and it's a unique kind of organization that brings people back, that keeps them involved, that keeps them engaged, and gives them a vehicle to serve the university and to also get a lot of fulfillment back. People do it because they get something out of it, because they have those relationships, because they have that way to feel connected to the university. And I think that Bobcats is so unique in how that happens, because not many places in the university setting can keep you engaged for life, can help you feel like you have a purpose to give back to generations that are coming up through the pipeline after you. So that makes it really special.
The value of Bobcats has shifted over time. When it started, it was about keeping the university together. The administration was fighting with the students, and they were about to kick out like half the school basically, and like everything was going to get shut down. And the Bobcats came together to make sure that didn't happen. They brought leaders together from across campus, and through their commitment to the ongoing unity of the school and the student body, they made sure that the university kept going. And like that might be the reason that we have a university today. I was trying to figure out like what it means, right? Like what is the 100 years? What's the significance of like the 100 years? And over the course of the 100 years, Bobcats has evolved significantly in terms of being a better representation of the student body. It took them more than 50 years to include women. It's taken a little bit longer for the group to consistently look like the student body. Inherently, by broadening or by widening the aperture in terms of who is aware of Bobcats, who is engaged with Bobcats throughout their time at the university, and then who's applying, we're going to get even better at selecting 13 outstanding students who already are leading on campus through periods of pretty immense change. If you take that and you push it out into the future, I think what you see is the university goes through some pretty meaningful shifts. Like if we think about like transitioning to like even more digital platforms, having a more distributed model for learning. Now students all over the country and all over the world have access to the University of Arizona and like all of the gems that it provides. But in being all over the world, you're obviously not going to have the same experience, the same on-campus experience as students in the past have had. And so as we think about defining like what is that student experience going to look like, I think having leaders from all of those cross sections of campus come together in their senior year to help define and drive new rituals, new programs, new experiences, I think the university sort of emerges having like a true 21st century student experience driven by the Bobcats. We, the alumni, are here to help and support however we can, whether it's like resources, mentorship, time, brainstorming, support, enthusiasm. And I think we're going to see some really great things. It takes a village. That's pretty much it.